self-recognition, which is not in compliance with any international documents governing this issue. Meanwhile, in Russia itself, which is multinational state, which has a lot of such subjects, in its structure, with the documents who have the right to self-identification, we acted in full compliance with the international law in terms of this recognition of Chechnya and Ishkeria as the state independent of Russian Federation, as the independent subject of international relations. And we can spread this practice over other subjects of Russian Federation. First of all, those who have their national minorities, who live compactly within certain territory, which are the key elements for recognition of them as the independent states. Another very important aspect to pay attention to: back in the 90s, when USSR ceased to exist, apart from the 15 republics of the former USSR, who exercised their right to self-identification, there was a number of the subjects of Russian Federation who proclaimed their sovereignty. And I want to remind you that the first Chechen war ended with the signing of the agreement which stipulated the right of the Republic of Ichkeria for self-identification. So we actually only reconfirmed their right, which were further on refused by Russia, traditionally refused by Russia, and we just recognized that agreement as a document in force, and we recognized the further right of other national minorities residing in Russia for self-identification. So I think that this resolution of Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine and Verkhovna Rada's appeal to international partners, we established a prolonged and consistent process of for leaving Russian Federation by these small minorities, by their independent states. About the situation in the border with Belarus, it's not quiet, it's not calm. We can forecast probably that there may be attempts of crossing the border again by the Russian troops. Our government proposed to establish a peacekeeping mission in the border. What are the complications of this procedure? Well, first of all, we have to calm down the citizens of Ukraine. Now, there is no enough personnel and material in the territory of Ukraine which could potentially, within short or medium-term perspective, let Russia attack Ukrainian territory again, and to repeat those actions which happened after the 24th of February and in the beginning of March. Yes, they have a couple of battalions and some demonstration unit just showing off in the border of Ukraine, but they're definitely not enough to open another front for invasion in Ukraine. However, according to the information from our intelligence agencies, the Russian troops keep coming to Belarus, and we have all grounds to talk about the mobilization in Belarus for mobilization of Belarusian citizens. So in one case or another, we have to be ready for such developments. We have to be ready that even notwithstanding the absence of this strike force in Belarus, the troops are still in their readiness level A, located in the border of Ukraine, and we have to make it impossible for them. As to the placing of peacekeeping forces in the border between Belarus and Ukraine, Russian and Belarusian authorities refused this idea immediately, but placing military umpires in the territory of Ukraine, for example, does not require any consent from either Belarus or Russia, because Ukraine has a full right to place the representatives of any troops, of any foreign troops in Ukrainian territory, as per the legislation adopted in Ukraine. And in case such necessity arises, I'm sure that the President of Ukraine will initiate this law, and Verkhovna Rada will adopt it very quickly. And we have to remember that the Republic of Belarus, starting from the 24th of February, is the aggressor, because they enabled Russian troops to attack Ukraine from their territory, which, according to the resolution of the United Nations dated 1974, is the participant of the aggression. Mr. Fedir, how many times will we have to deploy, will we need to deploy such a monitoring mission? It depends on the format of this monitoring mission, and we will not require a lot of time starting from the approval of this decision. It's not months, but I would say weeks. Yesterday we all read those materials published by Bellingcat as regarding their investigation about the people who are involved in launches of missiles to Ukrainian territory, on the missile strikes on Ukraine. May these personalities face the international tribunal potentially. First of all, I want to say that even without this investigation by Bellingcat, the Ukrainian intelligence agencies had information about these personalities who are involved in launches of the missiles to Ukraine. And we know, and is the international investigation, but the names of these persons, the information about their location, it will enable us to bring them to justice as war criminals who were involved in the missile and drone strikes in Ukraine, which resulted in the deaths of tens and hundreds and thousands of Ukrainian citizens, including children, and all this information may be used in international tribunal. And I'm convinced that this tribunal will be established very soon. Another very important topic circulating in our media space is Iran. We know about the instructors who are currently located in the temporarily occupied territories. We know the plans about the rockets, their missiles. What are our steps in the legal field? How will we react to their steps, to participation of Iran in international arena? I would say that such participation by Iran is not something new. Iran is one of the countries which is, Iran is for reason under sanctions all the time, and the trade of the products of the double purpose products is prohibited for everybody throughout the world, is sanctioned, but the supply by Iran of all the military equipment to Russia, contrary to the resolution adopted by the United Nations. I want to say that all the companies that supplied the components for manufacturing of these products, they will end up under sanctions, and we will post the issue, we will appeal to the international organizations for Iran, who is a violator of all these international laws and sanctions, which is infringement of another resolution of the United Nations organization. Both Office of Ukrainian President and the committees of the Verkhovna Rada, we will seek the increase of the sanction pressure on Iran, because we don't see another mechanism of pressure on Iran and bringing them to justice in international courts. Dear colleagues, your questions. Victoria Shevchenko, Ukrinform. Ukraine is currently being protected by around 1 million warriors. Is the government ready to provide all of them with the necessary equipment for the winter season? And what's the situation with the supply of the armed forces? Thank you for this question. We had a meeting of the Committee of the National Security and Intelligence. We had relevant persons participating in charge of the supply and support. As of yesterday and as of today, there are no problems with the supply of the Ukrainian armed forces, with the winter uniforms, with the necessary equipment for winter season operations. In case any additional necessity arises, everything will be supplied, both on the level of uniform and equipment, arms and equipment. We have certain issues with 122 millimeter ammunition, because the world market is currently exhausted, because both us and Russian Federation attempts to buy them throughout the world as well. But no single issue with the uniform or winter equipment was brought up. Any more questions, dear colleagues? Thank you, Mr. Fedir. Thanks for joining us. I will remind you, we had Fedir Venislavskyi with us, the representative of the President of Ukraine in Verkhovna Rada. Dear colleagues, I will remind you, our next briefing is at 1500, and we will have the first parliamentary summit of Crimea platform live, so stay with us.